Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming back to another episode of Declan's Autism Journey podcast. I'm really excited you're here. I'm excited to be doing this. I took the summer off really to kind of refocus, repurpose, so many different things is how we spent our time. But mainly focusing on Declan's continued therapy, what else can we add to his plate, and so many other things. But my main goal for Declan this summer was to have a great summer. Forget the fact that he has autism and that he cannot talk with words, but that he is still a 5-year-old boy, and making sure that he had a great summer. We had an incredible babysitter that was with us. She was home from college, and she was responsible for Cooper and Declan and made sure they went on tons of golf cart rides, they swam in the pool, really just enjoyed being together. Lots of activities, tried to keep him off TV, which is a left brain inducing activity, which we try to stay away from as much as possible. And so he had a great summer. And as Tim and I worked throughout the summer, and we spent a lot of time reflecting on just even what the start of this year has looked like for Declan and for us. As I said in my last podcast episode, not only was Declan going through this transformative phase, but we were in this new realm because he could communicate through RPM. And we still find ourselves there. There's so much and so many facets that go into this, all mostly that are fabulous and great. But some that are still really hard, or that we're just recognizing that, our evolution as parents to a special need child is ongoing. And I'm sure this is a lifetime journey, right, for us. So, but sometimes, when I think I really mastered looking at Declan like he's my 5-year-old son and not like he's my 5-year-old son with nonverbal autism, I realized quickly that I'm not there yet, and I've got a long way to go. And so what I mean by that is we were at a pickleball tournament for my oldest, and we all went to watch, and Declan spelled out to me, I want to play pickleball. And it hadn't even crossed my mind that he would want to play pickleball. Again, I think we're still going through the motions of really understanding and acknowledging that his facial expressions don't always line up with what he is thinking or feeling. And that's a prime example. And it made me step back and really think, geez, as much as I think I'm putting Declan, not autistic Declan, but Declan first, I realize that I'm still struggling with that. And so I'm trying really hard to make an effort to focus on Declan and meeting his needs and adding in more fun activities and thinking about things or including him in things that I before would have just said, oh, Declan wouldn't want to do that. And now I can ask him. And I think sometimes too, even his answers sometimes don't line up with maybe how his reaction is. He may say he wants toast, but then won't eat it, or, whatever. Yeah, I want to go here, but then he doesn't want to go there. So that is still a struggle. I think that will be a struggle for a while. But I'm really, really excited because we did book our trip to see and meet and spend 4 days with Soma, the creator of RPM in Austin, Texas in October. So Declan and I are going to Austin, Texas, October 1st through the 4th. We'll spend 2 sessions a day with Soma. Declan will get most of the therapy. I will observe. And then I think for the last 10 or 15 minutes of each session, I will actually get to do it. And Soma will observe me and give me some tools and techniques and tips to hopefully help us on this journey. The other really exciting most recent happening for Dec is that he started kindergarten, and he's in an integrated classroom with K through 2, and the teachers are amazing. The lead teacher is a special needs mom herself, and so I for sure gets this on a deeper, different level than anyone else, and I so appreciate that. But even the the assistant teacher is so kind, so warm. They have said how quickly Declan has acclimated. And this goes back to Tim and I too. Also, really committing to never selling him short. As I've used that phrase a lot because at the beginning I sold him short related to his cognitive ability. I would have been the first to say he had a cognitive deficiency. And through our partnership with Dr. Malillo, I know that is the farthest thing from the truth. And what I just won't do is let anyone into his circle or touch his little life that feels that way. And so, I shared a little bit with them, a very little bit, because I didn't want to scare them off about all the things we do with Declan. And I just really asked for their partnership and for them to be open-minded to his abilities. And I figured then the rest will fall into place. If we have the open-mindedness to begin with, the rest will fall into place when it's meant to be. And they gave me that. I mean, we're a week in and I already feel it. I think on day 2 or 3, the lead teacher said to me at either pickup or drop off, he's so smart. Like, we see it. He's so smart. And I just thought, yes, okay, we have found more people. They have seats on his bus. Even the principal, because Declan did change schools this year, greeted Declan by name on the second day. Every day built into his IEP is that we arrive late because we do such rigorous, intense home therapy in the morning before school. And so every day at about 9:30, I drop him off at school. And I thought it was just so telling and really spoke volumes about the principal that she said, "Hey, Declan, how are you?" on day 2. And, I had his letterboard handy and he spelled out, "Hi, Mrs. Felder." And she just was like, "Wow, cool, Declan, that's great." And I just thought this is such a gift. And we haven't yet encountered negativity about our PM. And what I appreciate more than anything is when I shared it, I was very clear that if it is the policy of the school system, the county school system, that they do not allow RPM, I will respect that. That's okay, I will respect it. What I won't tolerate is closed-mindedness to it if it is allowed, right? This is his mode of communication. And I know that it's him communicating regardless of the fact that I give him a little bit of pressure and that I touch his hand. It is Declan communicating. And I think when people are open and they see it live, they clearly and quickly recognize that it is absolutely Declan. It is not me. He is spelling so fast, it couldn't be me. We, spent a lot of time using the board this summer. We were with my sister and her family, my husband's family, and I made sure that Declan had that board handy. And this was the first time that Declan could communicate how he felt to others beyond Tim and I, to his family. And what we're recognizing is that family is so important to Declan and the connection is so important to Declan. And as we were leaving my sister's after a couple days, we were heading out with the little guys to New York to see Dr. Malillo and spend a couple days there. But as we're heading out, my nephews came out and my oldest, Aiden, said to Declan, "Hey, Declan, thanks for spending a couple days with us. We had so much fun with you." And Declan responded. And it was just amazing. And the fact that my sister's family, my husband's family, everyone is so excited about this and so on Declan's bus, it just feels really, really good. And I said to Declan, and I've said this to him before when he's had an opportunity to communicate, "Dec, how does it feel? What's it like for the first time ever? You were able to talk to your aunt. What does that feel like to you?" And his response is always the same. "It feels great and it is exhilarating." I mean, I don't even know if I know how to spell exhilarating, and yet he does. And so it's incredible. And I think the fact that him switching schools and leaving behind the negative experience that we ended on all happen for a reason, which I'm a huge believer in, as anyone who's been following this knows. And so I know that Declan was meant to be in this school system, in this different school. I know that he was meant to be with this teacher and the assistant teacher. And he has acclimated as if he's like been there forever. We're a week in, and they every day just keep saying, wow, he's able to communicate his needs and wants. He does go to school with the letter board. I haven't yet kind of dug into whether they're using it consistently or not. I want to give them some time and the respect that they are just getting into this new school year with new students, and that is hard. And so, I figure in a couple weeks we'll really connect on that, and, they'll know Declan more, even though I feel like they have a really good sense of him already. But they're so loving, they're so kind, he is safe, he's well taken care of. Every day he says, I want to go to school, I love school, I'm so happy at school. And so, part of my transformation as his mom is before I was always saying, even though I knew how incredibly bright he was, because I didn't really think that maybe others would be open to it or understanding of where he is, I kind of always just held them to the standard of just keep him safe and show him kindness and affection and make him feel appreciated. And the school last year did all those things. But as I progress in my understanding of who he is and where he is and what his needs are, I am fighting for education for him. While I do believe he's so incredibly bright, and I don't know where he is in many subject matter areas, I do know that he loves to learn. And so, I'm trying to do my part at home too with him, because I think he just needs it. He craves it. He is happiest when he's learning. And so, we do so much intense therapy with him. And we actually stand on this vibrating plate behind me for over an hour twice a day. So more than 2 hours every day, Declan is on this vibrating plate while he's got all this other stuff on. And I thought, we've got all this time. Let's read. Let's just read, because it also gets really boring for me too. I hate to say that, but it just does, And so he said he loves to read about world history. So we've read a couple of books about NASA. We've read Ito and Autism Land. We're actually now reading this book about becoming Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. My oldest had it that he read for a class, and I thought, it's so different than the book I just read, which was a book about a girl with cerebral palsy who couldn't speak, couldn't walk, but was so smart. And her cognitive function was there. It was just her parents had to figure out how to get it out. And they went through all the trials and tribulations that we've gone through, people not believing them, what they're saying, people looking at them like they're crazy, them even questioning themselves as to whether or not they're crazy. But then ultimately getting to a point where they recognize, no, we're not crazy. She is so smart. And they got a communication device that would speak for her. She could use her thumbs, and so she would spell things out. And then this communication device would talk for her. And so I cried through most of it as I was reading it to Declan, poor guy. But, it was great. But I needed to take a break from that. I want Declan to know he's not alone. I want him to know that there's other people out there either just like him or kind of like him, but more than anything, that he's not alone. The other book we read was about Stephen Hawking, and Declan loved that book. I will find him just scrolling through that book on his own. And so even though we finished it, he still will pick it up, and I believe that he is rereading it. But this book about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, certainly it is his plight with racism, inequality, discrimination, and on a very different level than what I deal with Declan. But in my own way, it really resonates with me, the things that he went through and things that I've watched Declan go through and how Declan has been treated. And also he talks in the book about his parents and Kareem figuring out the person he's supposed to be. And I just think all the time, we are trying to help Declan become safe and independent. But more than anything, I want him to be who he is supposed to be. And, I feel like we're doing the right stuff to help him get there and to be able to communicate. But I just thought this book is really speaking volumes to me. And I think that's so fascinating because I'm sure when this former NBA player wrote this book, he was not thinking it was going to resonate with a mom of a special needs child with nonverbal autism. And yet it has. I mean, I can't put it down. And I cried through some of it too, but that's okay. Not as much as the other one. But the other thing that Declan is doing, he has said to me, spelled out to me, Mom, stop telling people I'm nonverbal. I talk through spelling. And again, it's like it punches me in the face. And I'm like, duh, that is so obvious. Why am I even still saying he's nonverbal? He's not. He is so right. He is communicating through spelling. What is wrong with me that I can't acknowledge that? And so we've really, all of us have done this mind shift where I am no longer putting down that he has nonverbal autism. He is autistic, but he speaks through spelling. And just even that alone changes the whole thought process. So again, when I say we're still in this transformative period, like we literally are, and I feel like we might be here for a while. I don't know. It's really exciting to see him, his facial expressions. At times, he is so connected. Like I can just see it. I can feel it. I can see it. He is really becoming who he's supposed to be. And I know he has a long way to go from a communication perspective, but he's continues to be on the right track. I think the only thing we are also debating on our plate is if we do a second round of umbilical cord blood and tissue stem cell therapy. It's just so expensive. I do believe that we saw improvement from Declan related to that after his infusion on April 3rd, but it's not like we saw mountains move with him. And because it's so expensive, it's just giving us pause. If it was even half the cost, we would probably just do it and really not think about it. But it's just such a significant investment, and we don't know, what to attribute his gains, if any, to it. Again, my heart tells me yes, my gut tells me yes, but I've tried so many other things where my heart and my gut were like, do it, and nothing came of it. And this is just financially in a totally different stratosphere than those other things that we have tried. So we're going to think about it. We're going to mull it over and we're going to think about it. We'll make the right decision, the best decision for Declan, whatever that might be. But I'm really excited as he starts kindergarten to start these podcasts up again. My sister's going to be back with me as a guest. I thought it would be really interesting to do an episode where she asks me questions that either she has or that she's asked other friends for, that I asked some friends for. Give me some questions that you would want to ask the mom of an autistic, at the time, non-speaker. And so we're going to do that in a couple weeks. We're going to record an episode. My oldest wants to come back on too, which I'm really excited about. I really continue to appreciate the feedback from other moms out there. I just want to reiterate, the point of this podcast is just hopefully sharing our story helps others. And as my new friend Kareem in his book, if he hadn't shared that story, I wouldn't be sitting here can't wait to dive into his book tonight when we do Declan's therapy. But he shared his story, and it goes back to sharing is so important. And I think especially in this community, because you realize that the parents are the ones that will advocate the most for their child, more than anyone else. And if we don't share, then others won't know. And I just hope it touches one or two other people. But this podcast in no way makes me a subject matter expert in autism. I am Declan's subject matter expert. I drive that child's bus. I will always drive his bus. But it doesn't mean that our bus and our path is right for everybody else. We share with the hope that we do help others. That's the goal. And some things we've done with Declan may work for others and they may not. And it's up to the parents to make that choice. I just don't want other parents to feel as alone as Tim and I did in the beginning, and as isolated as we felt in the beginning. Because that's a terrible place to be. And I can do again this podcast because of our partnership with Dr. Malillo and all of the strides that Declan has made. And so I just want to be clear. I am no one's subject matter expert except for Declan's, but I do appreciate even just the camaraderie, the feedback that I have received related to this podcast from other moms. It literally means the world to me. And, I really do look forward to keeping this going. Again, if we can help one or two other people, it's a win. And I really appreciate everyone's time, and I look forward to our next episode. Thanks, everyone. Bye.